about testing AI chatbots. In this webinar, we'll be talking about strategies, challenges, and the best practices that you can use while testing an AI chatbot. Now, this is a relatively new topic for some people, as testing an AI chatbot can be difficult and it does not really follow the same procedure or path that we usually follow for testing other applications like a front-end application or an API. So AI chatbots are a bit different when it comes to creating their test cases. So we'll be discussing those things. So before or like without wasting any time, let us have a look at our agenda for today. So in this agenda, first we'll be talking about AI chatbot, what an AI chatbot is. Now this might be familiar to some of the people who are listening to this webinar, but we'll also be talking about how an AI chatbot works. That might be new for some people, right? And then we'll also discuss about benefits of using an AI chatbot, why actually people use these chatbots, what is the benefit that end user gets from using these AI chatbots, and depending upon this like benefit, once you understand the usage of AI chatbots, you would be able to define a proper strategy. So we'll be talking about how to strategize to test an AI chatbot, what should be in the scope of testing, and what should be the best practices for doing the same. Then we'll also discuss about challenges that you can face while testing an AI chatbot, and then we'll also automate the flow of AI chatbot, and we'll go through a quick demo to show you how we can do the same thing. So let us first look at what an AI chatbot is. So AI chatbot is a normal chatbot that is trained to converse like humans, and AI chatbots are supplied with data to engage in conversations that make human like interactions. So for example, if you go to any chatbot and like any customer care center and you're talking to a chatbot, so they are basically trained to converse like humans, and they mimic human interaction. Now how do they mimic these kind of behaviors, right? So they use an NLP language. So this natural language processing is nothing but an artificial intelligence field that concentrates on interaction between human and computers. So using this natural language processing, the chatbots are trained so that they can mimic human like behavior, and like they can basically work do the work that a normal human would, right? But you're training a chatbot to do the same thing without any human intervention. So it combines machine learning and NLP. So it utilizes a fusion of machine learning and natural language processing, as we talked about in the last point, to comprehend user intent and then provide responses to the inquiries that a user would or an endpoint end user would make. So these inquiries are like are more natural, right? When for whatever request you will be making, so the response would always also come in a way that a normal human would respond to, right? So it is used in many businesses to save time and money. So best examples of that would be Amazon Lex, if you have used that. It is a product that Amazon uses, and then a Domino's ordering system. I'm sure that most of you have ordered at one point or another with Domino's. So sometimes if you are like using their website, so you might see that they are using an AI chatbot to basically order your pizzas or garlic bread, whatever you want to order from their site. Also, if some of you have used H&M website or store their application to order any clothes, so you might find the chatbot there as well. So these are good examples of AI chatbots that are currently in use in the market. Now let us look at how it works. So basically what happens is, the first step, that user provides an input. So the chatbot receives an input from the user, usually in the form of text, but sometimes also through voice. Mostly you would find this input option as text, where you will be adding some text in the text box for whatever you want. For example, if you want to chat with an AI chatbot, you say, how is the weather? So you that kind of input you will be providing to the chatbot. Then NLP identifies user intent. So these natural language processing algorithms, they analyze and understand the user's input, so that they can identify the user's intent and then this basically involves determining what the user is asking or seeking. So this entire process of NLP algorithms running in the background, they try to determine what the intent of user is, and based on that intent they try to provide a response to the user. So once this NLP algorithms are running in the background, chatbot understands and learns, right? So some chatbots use predefined rules to generate responses based on identified intents and entities. So some of the chatbots are already fed with some information in their database, or some rules have been set in their when they were created, so that based on those rules, whatever input you will be providing, so they will provide you or generate a response back for you based on those pre-fed inputs. And some others leverage machine learning models to improve their understanding and responses over time. So for these other chatbots, what happens is when you're training that chatbot, so they learn from whatever input you provide them using machine learning, and using these machine learning models, they try to improve over time with whatever request you have already made with them. So once all these things are done, then response is generated, and based on the identified intent and entities using the NLP algorithms, the chatbot generates a response which is relevant to the user, and this response can be pre-programmed or dynamically generated using machine learning models. As we talked about in the last point, sometimes these responses can be pre-fed to the chatbot, so that based on the intent of the user, they can understand and then give some response which was already pre-fed, or they can also dynamically generate a response on the go using the machine learning models that have been used for creating that chatbot. Then at the last stage, some chatbots also provide the option to give you feedback. So in some cases, chatbots incorporate feedback from users, like maybe they can ask you if the answer was correct or not in the form of thumbs up or thumbs down, and depending upon that feedback, they try to continuously improve their chatbot and adapt to the user's need. So that's how chatbot generally works, right? So this is their model. They use NLP and machine learning algorithms to make sure that the user is getting the correct end response. Now let us have a look at the benefits of using an AI chatbot. So some benefits that come with using these chatbots is, first, definitely is cost efficient. So automated chatbots can handle a large volume of inquiries simultaneously, reducing the need for human agents to handle routine and repetitive tasks. So if you have been to if you for example, we talked about Domino's ordering system. Now the process of ordering is very repetitive task, right? Every time a person would call the Domino's store, they would order some particular pizza or some whatever sides they want to order, and then they would definitely pay for all those things. Sometimes they would try to add some additional information, but that's about it. So this kind of repetitive task, if you provide to a human or ask a human to do, it would take some time, and of course it would not be cost efficient. But in the end, if you use these AI chatbots to do these menial tasks which are repetitive, so it would definitely be cost efficient in the longer run. Then it is available 24/7. So chatbots operate around the clock since it does not sleep. So chatbots operate around the clock, and they provide instant responses to the user's query at any time. Data collection and analysis. So chatbots can collect valuable data on users' interaction and preferences. Since all this data is kind of you can imagine that it would be used to or stored somewhere, right, in the databases. So this data can be used for analysis by the future in the future, and then businesses can analyze this data to gain insights into customer behavior, like what customers like, what customers does not like, and what are the preferences that a customer has, common issues which can inform decision making. Then task automation. So AI chatbots can automate various tasks such as order processing, appointment scheduling, and information retrieval. Tasks that are repetitive in nature and can be automated easily using an AI chatbot. So it reduces wait times. So by handling routine queries and tasks, AI chatbots can reduce the wait times for user seeking assistance, contributing to positive user experience. So overall, the user would have a positive experience because they would have less wait time, and in the end, no one likes to wait, right? When they are doing these tasks every day. So if you can automate these, if you can create AI chatbots, then it will definitely give a better like less wait time. Improve customer service, as you talked about in the last point. If your chatbot can reduce overall wait time for an end user, and they would be available 24/7, they would be cost efficient, and so these kind of things and activities will provide an improved customer experience overall, and they can handle common queries and guide user through process efficiently, right? So this is the benefit that you get from using an AI chatbot. Let us look at some of the strategies now, how we can test this AI chatbot, why we are here in this session. So strategy to test an AI chatbot is a bit different than what you might have used for your like testing a front-end application or an API. So first point is similar to those things only, like defining the test objectives. So you have to clearly outline the objective of a testing phase, what you're trying to achieve with the chatbot, and what is the critical functionality that needs to be tested. So again, as an example, if we take H&M chatbot, so H&M's chatbot, if it is used for customer queries or any complaints a customer has, so the primary objective of that AI chatbot would be to take a user's complaint and try to resolve it. If they are not able to resolve it, so then maybe they can create a query or like a ticket, so that a human can look into that ticket, and then they can help the end user resolve that query from their side. So this kind of test objective you have to clearly define when testing an AI chatbot, what you're trying to achieve with the chatbot and what are the critical functionalities. You need to make sure that you are aware of it. Then second point is functional testing. So test basic functionalities such as greeting users, understanding user input, providing appropriate responses. So this kind of basic functionalities you have to test when you're doing the functional testing, and checking the accuracy of the information provided by chatbot. Now accuracy is very important because an end user would not like your or would not want to use your AI chatbot if the information is not accurate. So, and so that's why it is imperative that you check the accuracy while doing the functional testing. Then you have to also verify that chatbot handles common user queries effectively. So whatever common queries that an end user has, for example, if we talk about that customer complaints one, so like I'm a customer and I have a complaint that I'm not able to place an order. So the chatbot should be efficient in such a way that they are able to provide some steps to the user so that they can try to rectify that, or like try to fix that error from their side. If the error is not fixed, and a user provides an input that I'm not able to fix the issue by the step that you have provided, then a chatbot should be able to create a ticket for that user so that a human can look into it better from their side, right? So these are some basic things that you need to make sure that chatbot is working with, so that it is working effectively for the customer. User experience testing. Now previous things that we talked about, they were related to functionality of your AI chatbot, but the user experience testing is a bit different. So you have to evaluate the overall user experience, and you have to see it from the customer standpoint. You have to become a customer and then see what is the overall user experience that you're getting from using this chatbot, and you have to ensure that the conversational flow is natural and easy to follow. It should not be confusing to customer in any way. They should be able to follow whatever is happening very easily. If the chatbot is providing some steps that you need to follow to do your task, then those steps should be easy to follow for the customer. You have to check for the appropriateness of response in different scenarios and user inputs, and you have to test the chatbot's ability to handle errors or misunderstanding gracefully. So if a chatbot is not able to provide the expected response to the customer, they should be able to handle those kind of errors properly. They should be able to provide the end user with the correct response, that okay, I'm sorry, I'm not able to help you with this query at this time, but please allow me to create a ticket for you, or please allow me to connect help you connect with a person on the other side, right? So a chatbot should be able to do these things. If it is not able to give a good user experience, then chatbot is useless, right? So you have to incorporate these kind of things in your testing, which you would not do, for example, when you're testing an API. So these kind of scenarios would not come into picture with that, and it might not even come sometimes in when you're testing a front-end application, because a front-end application, you are just doing some things like clicking or following a natural flow, right? So it is how it is different from testing a normal website, and AI chatbots need some more test cases or some unique test cases that you need to consider when you write their test objectives and test cases. Then integration testing, I think we do this for all other applications as well, but it's not really unique to AI chatbot. But if a chatbot integrates with our systems or other APIs, so you need to test these integrations thoroughly, ensure that data passed within the chatbot and external system is accurate and secure. So for example, a lot of chatbots nowadays are using like AI chatbots nowadays are implementing the OpenAI model that you might have seen in ChatGPT. So if they are using these third-party integrations, so you need to make sure the data passed between these chatbots is secure. It is not being exposed to anyone. It is not being exposed or used by hackers, or it cannot be penetrated basically by anyone outside your environment. So integration testing would also cover these things. Then next is performance testing, very big portion, since your chatbot will be used by a lot of people at the same time. Right, for example, if you're creating a chatbot for your company, so in the company, if you have 10,000 employees, so you can expect maybe 1,000 employees or like maybe 500 employees to work at the chatbot at the same time. So if you are working at the chatbot at the same time with this much load, are you able to get the correct response in time, or is it something that the chatbot is not able to handle? So to do these things, you have to make sure that performance testing is rigorous, and you're able to create a proper load, you're able to create a proper plan for performance testing, and then seeing that if you are at the peak load, how much is the response time that you're getting from chatbot? Is it taking too much of time? So and if it is taking so much time, then definitely it would create a bad user experience, right? So performance testing is also crucial that you need to perform when you're testing an AI chatbot. Then for the next, we have security testing. So you have to verify that chatbot ensures handles sensitive information securely, and you have to test for vulnerabilities such as input validation, SQL injection, and other common security risks. So chatbot, as we talked about, like when we are doing integration testing, so the data is flowing between from one application to another, a third-party application. So this sensitive information should be secured, and vulnerabilities like SQL injection, input validation, so this should not occur, and this should be tested using the security testing tools like OWASP or Burp Suite. The language and localization testing. So if a chatbot supports multiple languages, then test its language capability thoroughly. Ensure that a chatbot understands and responds appropriately in different languages and regional variations. Now you might not be able to test this on your own if you're not well versed in some other language. So you have to make sure that if the chatbot is using another language like Japanese or German or say French or Spanish, so you have to make sure that these chatbots are able to understand and work with these languages also as well as perfectly as it should be working with English. So this testing is also something that you need to perform. If it is not possible for you to perform, then you need to make sure that someone else is doing this testing before moving your product to production. Then usability testing. So you have to conduct a usability testing with real users to gather feedback on the chatbot's design and interaction. And you have to pay attention to users' feedback regarding the clarity of responses and ease of use. So like this feedback is very important to make sure that a chatbot is something that an end user would like to use. If they're not having a good experience with it, they would not go for it, and they would demand to be connected to some person on the other line, right? So you have to make sure that this usability testing is also done to get a proper feedback of the chatbot and then work accordingly. Feedback and improvement. So collect feedback from testers, users, and stakeholders, and use this feedback to make improvements to the chatbot's performance, functionality, and user experience. I think we already talked about this. And then last is regression testing. This I think we already we do perform for each and every application that you have tested. So perform thorough regression testing whenever there are updates or changes to the chatbot to ensure that existing functionalities still work as intended, right? So these are the things that you or like strategy that you can basically follow to test an AI chatbot. Now, what are the best practices to test an AI chatbot? So first is you have to understand the use cases, as we talked about in the last slide. So you have to gain a deep understanding of the intended use case for the chatbot. Like when you understand the use case for chatbot, as we talked about, if it is an ordering system, so you have to understand that you're able to create the order successfully. So this understanding will guide your test scenarios and help prioritize critical functionalities. Then second is test with realistic data. So use real world data to simulate user input. Put yourself in the shoes of an end user and then imagine what you as an end user would put into that chatbot, and then see, okay, if I'm getting the correct or expected response back from the chatbot, is chatbot able to help you, is chatbot able to rectify your issue. So how can you work with this? So you can basically use a diverse set of phrases, slangs, variations to ensure the chatbot's language understanding capabilities are robust. So not every person would ask the same query in the same manner. The slangs are different for each and every person, the phrases are different for each and every person. A person might not well versed be in the language that they are trying to write in, right? So you have to make sure that the chatbot is able to understand these slangs and different variations and phrases. So try to test with the different or diverse set of phrases or data, and then see how chatbot is responding back. Then next is mock external services. So if the chatbot interacts with external services or APIs, consider using mocks or stubs for those services during testing. This allows you to isolate it and test the chatbot's core functionality without relying on external dependencies. So if any APIs or external services are being used, so you can use these mocks and stubs to test these other dependencies as well. And what it does is it basically isolates, allows you to isolate and test the chatbot's core functionality, and you can test these in a better fashion if there's any third-party integration. Then next is user persona testing. So test the chatbot with different user personas to ensure that it caters to a diverse audience. Consider variations in language proficiency, cultural nuances, and user expectations. So try, as we talked about, testing this with variations of slangs and data. So it's a pretty similar thing, but try to test it with different users, and you have to make sure that it caters to a diverse set of audience. Right. Then fifth is edge case testing. So I think it's pretty common to common knowledge that you cannot test all of these scenarios, but this might be more common in the cases of testing an AI chatbot, because AI chatbots are such vast things to test, and like the data set that you will have while testing these would be minimal as compared to when these applications will be moved to production. So try to identify such edge test cases that you might be missing, any unusual scenarios or any extreme inputs, and then make sure that the AI chatbot is responding to these in the best fashion possible. For example, if you provide an input which is not at all that chatbot is expecting, so even if the chatbot is not like working properly, they should be able to handle that error gracefully, and they should be able to provide the user a correct error response, so that it does not create a bad experience for the user, right? And then last is documentation. So best practices, we have to make sure that you're documenting everything from start to finish. You're documenting your test objectives, you're documenting your test plan, your test cases, you're documenting the pass and fail percentage, you're documenting everything. So maintain a comprehensive documentation of test cases, test results, and any issues encountered. This documentation is valuable for future references and can also aid in troubleshooting. So make sure that you follow these practices. Let us now look at some of the challenges that are that people face while testing these endpoints or chatbots. So first is diverse user inputs. As we talked about, users express themselves in various ways using different tones, languages, and phrasing. So testing a comprehensive set of diverse inputs is challenging but essential to ensure chatbots' robustness. Then next is contextual understanding. So chatbots often need to maintain a context across multiple turns in a conversation. So testing the chatbot's ability to understand and remember context is crucial for providing coherent and relevant response. So sometimes whatever chat when you're chatting with the chatbot, so they have to remember your context or whatever you typed in a few messages ago, so they have to remember these kind of things after few steps as well. So chatbot should be able to do that, and while testing these you have to make sure that it is not creating a challenge for you. Ambiguity and intent recognition. So users may express themselves ambiguously, and intents can be challenging to accurately recognize, and that is something that you have to make sure that you're covering when you're testing the chatbot. So intent is very important when it comes to chatbot. If they do not understand the user's intent, they will not be able to provide a satisfactory response back to the user. Testing the chatbot's intent recognition capabilities under various ambiguous scenarios is necessary. Handling errors gracefully. So ensure the chatbot responds appropriately and gracefully in the face of errors or misunderstanding is challenging. Ensure error handling mechanism needs to be tested thoroughly to avoid any confusion or frustration for the user. Then dynamic content and real-time data. So chatbots may need to provide real-time information or dynamic content. So testing how well the chatbot handles the updates, such information is a timely and accurate manner is a challenge. For example, if you want to know from a chatbot how is the weather, so since the weather, like the current weather is a dynamic content and real-time data that they need to provide, right? So you have to test these in such a way that you are able to get the dynamic content back from the chatbot. Maintaining consistency across channels. So chatbots may interact with users across various channels like website, mobile, messaging apps. So ensuring a consistent user experience across these channels requires thorough testing. So you have to test on different platforms, mobile, web, or messaging apps like WhatsApp. So testing in these many environments can be a challenge sometimes. So you have to plan accordingly. Bias and fairness. So bias is a language model. In a language model is a significant concern. Testing for biases and ensuring that the chatbot's responses are fair and inclusive is challenging and requires continuous monitoring and improvement. So when we talk about bias, we have to make sure that chatbot's response is fair to each and every one who is using the chatbot, and it is not biasing in any case, and it is inclusive for everyone. Next is adaptation to user feedback. So incorporating user feedback into training process and adapting the chatbot accordingly can be challenging. So it requires a feedback loop between testing, development, and user engagement. So providing this user feedback again and again to the developers and to the stakeholders is a challenging process that you need to make sure is continuous when it comes to chatbot, because without improving the chatbot, the user's experience will also not be improved. Continuous learning and improvement. So AI chatbots can often employ machine learning models that require continuous learning. So testing the mechanisms for model updates and improvements without disrupting existing functionality is challenging. Legal and compliance challenges. So depending on the industry and region, ensuring that the chatbot complies with legal and regulatory requirements such as data protection laws can be challenging, and it depends on region to region. So every region has a different compliance laws, and you have to make sure that the chatbot is adhering to these laws, and doing so can be challenging when testing these chatbots. Let us now look at how we can automate our chatbots. So why should we automate the chatbots? Let us first understand that. So automating chatbots they can run much fast, like your tests can run much faster than manual tests, allowing you to execute a large number of test cases in a shorter time frame. AI chatbots, like any software, undergo frequent updates and changes. So automated tests are ideal for conducting regression testing. Right. So regression testing is extremely important because there would be many changes that will be added to your chatbot again and again. So doing this regression testing manually is a very huge task that you do not want to do. So automating them would be a much better option. With automated tests, you can cover a broader range of test scenarios, which might be impacting or time consuming to cover manually. Now, all of these points are basically revolving around one thing, which is that you can cover a large number of test cases when it comes to automating AI chatbots. How you can do that? You can basically drive your data by an external file, and then feed your chatbot the data from the external file, say Excel or CSV file, and then if you want to add more test cases, you can just add the prompts and the process or the flow that needs to be followed for that automation, and your chatbot would do the rest, right? So allowing this data driven testing for the same test script can provide wonders for your chatbot testing, and one much faster testing and much faster regression time, because all you have to do is just add some data in the in your CSV file or like external file, and then drive the data from that file, so that your tests are running based on that external data. So automated tests can provide a clear and documented set of test cases that can be shared amongst team members. So you would have a clear set of test cases that you can share with anyone, be it stakeholders, developers, project managers, etc. Automated tests reduce the need for manual testing resources and faster detection of issues. So with this faster time to test, you can get faster detection of issues as well. So we'll go through a demo after these slides. So we have created a small sample chatbot, and what we have done is we have fed it some predefined inputs, like we talked about. It's not a machine learning chatbot to say, but yeah, it's like it's been fed some predefined input and outputs, and we'll see how we can automate that. So most of the chatbots that you might be using, be it like Domino's or the H&M that we talked about, or Amazon one, so these are incorporated in a web application. Now if that is the case, you can use any kind of front-end application tool like Selenium, Playwright, Nightbot.js, or even Cypress to automate these chatbots. So it's as easy as we do it for web automation, that you can automate these APIs, to automate these AI chatbots. And if you want a tool dedicated to automate the AI chatbots test cases, then Botium is a good option that you can use. But with Botium, you have to make sure that you have all the configurations that you, for the chatbot. So if you're trying to test a chatbot for which you do not have the details like the connector information or environment information, so then you won't be able to use Botium effectively. But if you do not have these configurations, you can always go with the Selenium, Playwright, Nightbot.js, or even Cypress, or any kind of front-end automation tool that you want to use if your chatbot is incorporated with a web application. So we have this script already written in Playwright, which we'll go through in our demo. And basically what it does is it just logs into the chatbot, goes to the chatbot, and then makes some clicks, enter some information, and then gets the information. We have not added any kind of assertion right now because it is very sample demo that we wanted to show you guys. So in this, you can always add your assertions and make sure that whatever response is expected from the chatbot that you're getting when running the scripts, right? So assertions would be a big role assertions will be a big thing that will play a role in this automation of AI chatbots. So let us now look at this code and we see. So as I talked about, we're going to the chatbot, and we are just adding some, like clicking on some buttons and then passing some information, clicking on those buttons again, and that's about it. So let me run this script and see how it looks in the browser. So here is this Playwright browser, and if I run this, if we go to the test, and we'll see how it is running. So it has opened the web page, and now I think the page is loading. So it has clicked on the button like I'm interested, and it has provided my name, and like it asked what services are you interested in, and we clicked on marketing, and that's about it. So these were some sample information that we fed to the chatbot that we created, and we automated this entire process using Playwright Recorder, and pretty simple, the similar script to what you would write right for any web application. And you can just add your sessions and make sure that whatever response you're expecting from chatbot is the same thing that you're getting from the chatbot as well when you're providing the input. Yeah, so I think that covers our webinar for today. I hope you liked the webinar. Please do let us know if you have any questions in the comments below. So yeah, so thank you so much for joining the webinar. I hope you have a nice day.